What's up, everybody? The market is once again at all-time highs, and I thought it might be time to take a look at some of the companies that are not doing as well, some of the companies that are pretty much at their 52-week lows. We have a few businesses to look at today. For the most part, I think they're going to be brands that many people know. Several of these companies people have asked me about in the comments, and we're going to see if we can find some value today. Certainly, if you were just putting these companies in a box, many people would consider these stocks to be value stocks. But we'll see if they're offering decent risk reward. And as always, if you get value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support what I do, get access to my Discord or get access to my Google Sheets template where you can make nice little spreadsheets for the companies that you're looking at, then consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. Now, let's get into it. And the first stock we're going to talk about today is Campbell Soup Company. Now, in case you weren't aware, Campbell's owns a bunch of brands. It's not just the soup. They also own, Goldfish, Snyder's, Cape Cod, these chips, Prego. It's almost impossible that you aren't familiar with at least some of their brands here. So a bunch of products, and the stock has definitely not done well. Down 30% over the past year. Doesn't look any better if you look at the last 5 years. So you may be wondering, is this undervalued? Now, first of all, and maybe I should have led with this, there is no reason to expect that just because a stock is at a 52-week low, that it is any more likely to be undervalued than a stock that's at a 52-week high. If you just buy companies because they're at their low, because the price has fallen down, that is not going to be a winning strategy. Now, with that said, sometimes if you look at 10, 20, 30, however many companies that are near their 52-week low where the price has fallen a bunch, every now and then I am going to find some where I think that the price decline is not justified, where there is an opportunity. So in any case, let's look at Campbell's here. Year over year, sales are down. The growth on the top line is sluggish here, if it exists at all. And margins have definitely been under pressure. Bottom line down 11, 13%, depending on what metric you're looking at for the bottom line there. If I just go over to my website and I look for Campbell Soup Company, and we look at what their revenue's been like over the last 20 years, you see that not much growth here. I'm not even certain if top line has outpaced inflation over this time period. If we just look at operating income, the operating income has basically been flat for this company over 20 years. Meanwhile, if I head over to their balance sheet and I just look at what net debt looks like, debt has been going up over this time. So we have a company that's not growing, increasing debt, sluggish outlook, and yes, they own a bunch of brands that are recognizable. There certainly is some value to these brands here, but pretty much across the board, really not much growth anywhere, not a lot to be excited about. Now, for me, it's not a deal breaker if a company isn't growing. I've certainly invested in businesses with essentially no growth if I'm getting the right price, if I'm getting an excellent price on my investment. However, with Campbell Soup, we see that, operating income been pretty flat, just a little over $1 billion. And if you compare that to their enterprise value, which again, you get enterprise value by taking the market cap and then also adding in the net debt of the business. And the enterprise value for this company, because they have actually quite a bit of debt, it is close to $15 billion. So this company is trading at, an 11 or 12 times multiple. It's not dirt cheap by any stretch of the imagination. We've looked at companies on this channel with, 10 times multiples that have decent growth. And there's quite a few companies we look at with no growth, but, they're trading for single digit multiples. In spite of the fact that the price of this stock has dropped a significant amount, it really doesn't look cheap when you look at the fundamentals. Even if I assume they can get back to some semblance of growth, I'll give them 2% growth on the top line over 5 years. And, if they can hold their margins around 13%, which is reasonable, but might be slightly on the optimistic side, margins have been under pressure and actually operating margins have been coming down for this company. I'm going to assume you get your, $400 to $500 million coming back to you in the form of dividends and buybacks here. And then if I give this company an 11 times multiple, which is about what they're trading for now, and I really can't give a business like this any multiple expansion with essentially no growth, then, you're looking at roughly an 8% annualized return on Campbell stock today. That's okay. I mean, it certainly could be worse, but I don't even think I need to go further and look at a bear and bull case. This just isn't enough reward in my base scenario. I'm looking for more. I don't think that this is cheap. For me to be really interested, I think the stock would need to fall to, that $16 to $18 a share range. That might seem like a huge drop from today, but Campbell's to me, it's kind of an example of something I talked about a few months ago when I made a video asking the question, is the market in a bubble? And to me, the main reason mentioned I don't want to buy the S&P 500, it's not because of Nvidia or Amazon or their high valuations. It's honestly for companies like, I think I gave the example at the time of Procter & Gamble. And I'm sorry if this is your favorite stock. I don't want to hate on it or anything like that, but this is a company with essentially no growth. I mean, maybe barely growing in line with inflation, but no real growth here, trading for an over 20 times multiple. The price has come down a bit since we looked at them last, but still, Procter & Gamble by no means cheap. I think there are many investors that see a name like Procter & Gamble or Campbell's Soup, and it sounds like a staple. It sounds like it would be safe. It's a boring, simple to understand business. That is a plus for me. I like those. But the fact of the matter is, some of these companies really are not that cheap relative to their fundamentals and their growth. Now, let's move on to the second business. This is another one that someone asked me about in a comment. It is Kraft Heinz, another company that I'm sure you're familiar with. Let me open up this sheet here, get a few more years of data to display. Once again, this is another stock that has not been having a fun time, down almost 20% over the last year, 5 years down 30%. I think almost everyone knows this brand. It's also a business that Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, owns. We see here, it's not just ketchup, it's Philadelphia cream cheese, Lunchables, Oscar Mayer, Singles. They have tons of brands. Once again, a company where it's pretty much impossible not to be familiar with their brands here. And yet, if we look at the financials here, let's go over to KHC. I'm going to go to financials and let's look at the last 20 years. We see, once again, not much growth. If I'm just looking at the top line, they have this bump up in 2016. That was due to some acquisitions, so they bought up some brands, but as far as organic growth here, I mean, we see that the top line, it's actually down since 2016. Basically, no growth. And when they made this acquisition, they took on a ton of debt. We see net debt here just exploded in 2016. They've paid this down a little, but still, you're talking about a business with close to $20 billion in net debt. And once again, when you take into account the debt and you compare that to the operating income, you're looking at a company that's trading for a 13 or 14 times multiple. A business with no growth, in fact, declining sales right now. A significant amount of debt, $20 billion of debt for this business, and a double-digit multiple. It's probably no surprise that, I'm not finding value here. When I'm putting in what I think are realistic estimates for the future of this company, I'm not really getting an attractive return. I mean, you might do okay here, and certainly if a company like this ever trades for a multiple in the high teens again, then yeah, you do all right, but this is not what I'm looking for. And just to compare, I'll show you another company that's trading close to its 52-week low, a company that I think is comparable. I mean, it's a consumer brand in the food space, and this is a business I own. It's Nomad Foods. Now, this is a smaller company, but they are the market leader in their niche, which is European frozen food. They own a bunch of decent brands. These might not be as familiar to the American audience, but we see Bird's Eye, Findus. A lot of their products are frozen fish, frozen chicken, peas, potatoes, some ice cream, some prepared meals. So not exactly the same. The geography is a bit different, but definitely a similar industry. As far as growth, the organic growth in Nomad Foods also pretty sluggish. They've grown through acquisitions, and growth on the top line in line with inflation is, about all that I would expect here. Margins are pretty similar to Campbell's and Kraft Heinz, about 12% operating margin. They also have a bit of debt on their books. So overall, pretty comparable. The difference is just, this is way cheaper. 7 times earnings, even taking into account all their debt, a single digit multiple of operating income. So even in my base case, when I'm assuming no growth on the top line over 5 years, they just maintain their margins. And I'm giving this company a 9 times multiple. I'm not even assuming it ever trades for the same multiple as, Kraft Heinz or Campbell's Soup, just a 9 times multiple. And in this case, I'm looking at an 18% annualized return over 5 years. I think it's pretty likely that Nomad will be more than a double over 5 years. And when I say more than a double, that's in total return. They pay out a healthy dividend too. So, this doesn't necessarily mean the stock price will go up 130% over 5 years. The scenario is looking at total return, including the dividend. So I'm not opposed to buying a business with essentially no growth. I just want the right price. And as far as price, Nomad also pretty close to their 52-week low here. And just so you know, I first bought in at about $13 and change. I bought all the way down to $11. My average price here is a little over $12. So I am down a little bit on my position, but I think the risk reward here is good and certainly under $12 a share. I'm happy to grow the size of this position in my portfolio a bit. By the way, nothing here is advice to buy or sell any of the stocks that we're talking about. I just give you my opinion and I tell you what I'm doing with my money. And with that, let's move away from the food space and let's talk about a brand that I'm sure, again, a lot of you are familiar with. It's Harley-Davidson. The stock ticker is HOG, and once again, pretty much at its 52-week low, down 24% over the past year, past 5 years, down 45%. This is a completely iconic brand. There are clubs that are built around, people's love for Harley-Davidsons. And when you just look at the numbers here, I see why someone would be interested. Market cap, $2.5 billion. Enterprise value, when you add in that net debt, talking more like $6.5 billion. But if you compare that to their earnings, you're looking at more like, $500 million over the past year. So trading at about 5 times earnings. If we look at free cash flow over the past 5 years, looks like you've been averaging close to $600 million in free cash flow. So this stock certainly looks cheap. But as soon as you look under the hood a little bit, it really looks like Harley-Davidson is in some kind of secular decline. Over the past decade, just fewer and fewer people buying Harley-Davidsons. And part of that is because motorcycle sales, particularly in the US, have been declining. But actually, the story for Harley-Davidson is even worse because their market share has been going down over time. Harley-Davidson, they used to be more than half of the motorcycles on the road in the US, and now their market share is down to in the mid-30s. In Europe, their market share is only 4%. People just aren't buying these bikes in the way that they used to. And just anecdotally, when I think about Harley-Davidsons, I think about a slightly older demographic. They aren't the cheapest bikes out there. They're certainly more cost-efficient alternatives. People buy Harley-Davidsons because they like the brand. They like what it represents. It's almost as much a lifestyle as it is a bike. And frankly, it seems the style is just going out of fashion. Retail sales down pretty much across the board, up in Latin America, but this is actually a very small market for them. Operating margins are just down a ton for this business. Now, part of this is from tariffs. They talk about tariffs quite a bit. Pretty significant impact here. Also, something that's been a hit to their operating margins for quite some time, this live wire segment here. So Harley-Davidson, you can think about them in 3 main segments. First of all, there's just the motorcycles, the products they sell. This also includes the accessories, things like parts and helmets and all those things that go along with the lifestyle. And actually, those accessories, they typically have decent margins, better margins than the motorcycles themselves. And then you have the finance division. So here they're originating and servicing loans. You want to buy a Harley, but you don't want to pay for it up front, so you take out a loan. Now that loan is just sitting on Harley-Davidson's books. And then third segment, you have Livewire here. Now, Livewire, these are electric motorcycles. They've really not been a big winner. They've put quite a bit of money into this, and they're just losing money every single quarter. It's unclear when, if ever, that segment is going to be profitable. In spite of all this, they have been producing a relatively consistent amount of cash, and it's pretty large relative to the market cap. They've been using that cash to pay out a small dividend, but more importantly, buy back quite a bit of stock. They're buying back, close to 5-ish% of the company a year. And when you add in a 3-ish% dividend, it's really quite a decent return that they're giving to shareholders. If I thought they could just hold sales, hold their market share, then I do actually see how Harley-Davidson could be a deep value play. If they continue to generate $500-600 million a year in free cash flow, then at a close to 20-ish% free cash flow yield on their market cap, that could generate a surprisingly good return. However, my problem with this company is I'm just not confident they can hold their market share and they can keep sales even flat. I think the number of people who are loyal to the Harley-Davidson brand is likely dwindling. Their bikes are more expensive. And first of all, I think especially in the US, people aren't buying motorcycles as much. But even if they are, they're more sensitive to price, less loyal on brand, and they're just going to buy a cheaper motorcycle. I think this means that Harley-Davidson is going to have to compete more on price. And that means that margins are likely going to continue to be under pressure. I don't think this company is likely to have, high teens, close to 20% operating margins in the future. In fact, I don't feel like I'm confidently able to predict operating margins going forward. So for me, I don't think I can assign a value to this business. I love when a company is trading for something like 5 times free cash flow, but I'm going to need to see some stabilization in their margins and ideally some stabilization in their sales. So I think with that, we'll wrap it up here for this video. We went over 4 companies trading near their 52-week lows. 3 of them people asked me about in the comments. Of those, Campbell's Soup and Kraft Heinz. I don't think they're all that cheap. You definitely could find worse stocks out there. But for me, I would want to buy these stocks significantly cheaper than they are today. Harley-Davidson, I think this company looks interesting. I want to keep following it, but they're just losing too much market share, operating margins under too much pressure for me, even to feel confident giving a value to this company. And the 4th business, Nomad Foods, I think people know I'm pretty bullish on this stock. I think it's very cheap. You're not going to see sales and earnings skyrocket, but I think it's pretty likely that we can earn a decent return here. So as always, if you got value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the work I do or get my template here to make spreadsheets like this, then consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. If you agree or disagree with anything I said here, let me know why down in a comment, and I hope to see you all in another video.